I have people say something similar to me all the time. I don't have time to understand myself because I'm trying to put food on my table and feed my family, or I'm trying to do my best in school. And I understand all of that. Here's the thing. We have been conditioned to live in a world through a way of thinking that has served us in the past. And we have to say it served us because you and I are here now, so it worked well enough to get us here. That way of thinking worked in the world the way it used to be. The world just changed, and nobody told us it. There was no special on CNN, or the Discovery Channel. Hey, the world changed. I wish there was. So we've never been given the opportunity to even mourn the passing of the world that no longer exists. So we're trying to solve our problems and think about ourselves the way we always have in a world that changed, and it doesn't fit. It no longer fits. So yes, we've got all these little things going on, but what I've found in my own life personally, if I can back up and shift the paradigm, and I'll tell you what I mean by that, but if I can shift the paradigm within which I'm seeing everything, all of a sudden all those little things take on a whole new meaning, and they become a lot less of a problem. They become much easier. The paradigm is this: we have been conditioned, steeped in a story of who we are that is based in separation, competition, and conflict. It began in 1859. And people say to me, Greg, 1859, it was over 100 years ago, 150 years ago, so what? It's a good question. What difference does that make? It's a good question. Here's the answer. The world we live in, the society, the economic system, the corporations, the medical model, the way that we're taught to provide for our families, the way that we are taught to have the most intimate relationships under the roof with the people that we share our homes and even our bed with. I mean, let's just get real. We are taught to interact with humans based upon these ideas of competition, conflict, and separation. And even the most spiritually minded people that say, I've transcended that, when they are in a heated discussion and somebody pushes their buttons, they go to that lowest common denominator often of competition. They will lash out with something really hurtful to defend themselves. It's not their fault. It's deeply ingrained in our subconscious. So not if, because it's already happening, as we back off and embrace the new paradigm of cooperation and mutual aid, that is huge. It is a hugely different way of thinking. It means we live in a world that likes us, where nature is not out to snuff out every good thing that happens to us. It means we don't have to be constantly vigilant in defending ourselves from the world around us. That is a hugely, vastly different way of thinking. And we have an opportunity now to begin with an entire generation of young people who now are steeped in the glamour of war, conflict, and competition to make that shift. What would it look like to have a world where we have an entire generation of young people that know that nature likes them and that we live in a world of cooperation and mutual aid and connection? We're about to find out. We don't have to wait long to find out. So for me, simply backing up out of the minutia momentarily to look at the big picture and to make that shift, and once we make that shift, when you go back into the minutia, everything looks different to me. We're talking about the scientific way of interpreting and understanding what already exists. And whether we're in a simulation or not, whether this is a virtual reality or not, we're here. And we're here learning something. And I think the best that we can do is to be honest, truthful, and factual with ourselves when it comes to who we are and what our potential is, and to take that information to become the best version of ourselves in our lives and create the best world possible, because we are in this world. And whatever it is that we're here to learn, I think this is the path to the learning. I know so many people, and you probably do as well, who have had such painful lives, Danica, that they will make the search to understand who they are the diversion in their lives. And by diverting from the reality of everyday life, they miss life itself. And I believe that life is here. The beauty of this world, this is such, we take it for granted. The colors and the sky and just water and the way water works, and music and our ability to create these vibrations that move our soul. This is what life's all about. So I just want to invite everyone. I think it's good to entertain deeper understandings and to use science as a language, but when it comes right down to it, it's about you and me in everyday life, being the best people we can be, and finding the joy that really makes our soul sing, because I think that's our compass. That's how we know when we're on the right path. Every one of us in our own lives, we have to develop what I call the spiritual anchor, the rock, the soul compass. And it has nothing to do with religion. When I say the spiritual anchor, the spiritual anchor is when we know who we are in relationship to ourselves. We know who we are in relationship to the earth, to one another, to our past, to our future. We know how we are empowered and what our potential is. And once you know that, we then can live our truth in a world whether other people support it or not. When we depend on other people for that support, that's where we give our power away. And that's where many of us come from. I'll just say to the young people listening, I come from a very difficult family background, dysfunctional alcoholic family, full of criticism, instilling self-doubt in the young people. I have a younger brother. We came from the same family and we had the same criticisms. I didn't believe what my father told me about my inability in life. And my younger brother, he did believe it. He embraced much of it. And it's so interesting. Two different people, the same family, same background, interpreting the information differently. And I attribute my ability to let that criticism roll off of me in the blessing I had very early on. I knew who I was, and I understood my place in this world at an early age. And not everyone has that, but I began looking at an early age. It takes a lot of work to explore the potential within every one of us. We are holistic beings living in a holistic universe, part of all that is, and that is the fallacy for the way that we try to approach so many of our problems, the fallacy that we are somehow separate from one another, separate from our world, and powerless victims of our environment. And I think one of the things that's happening right now, Danica, if you're going to have a global pandemic, it's good to have it in the age of the internet, because the internet has allowed us to stay connected, and it's allowed us to access information in ways that we never have in the past. And part of that access, I think, is the answer to the question that you just asked. So I'm going to begin the answer by simply saying there's a battle that is unfolding in our world right now on multiple levels, right in front of our eyes. We all know there's a battle for our thoughts. That's very obvious. The media is battling to inform and guide the way that we think about ourselves and our relationship to the world, and how we respond to the pandemic and the economy and race and all the other things that are up for us right now. There's that battle. But that battle is based upon a battle for our beliefs. And that battle is playing out in academia. It's playing out with what we teach our kids about who they are and the way that they solve the problems of the world that come to them from the time that they're very young. The battle for our beliefs. Where did we come from? Are we an accident of lucky biology, or is there some intentionality underlying our existence? I mean, that's a huge question. Is the universe dead and unconscious and inert, or is the universe alive and intelligent and connected? That battle is playing out. There's a battle for our bodies, and I think we're all getting that. What does it take to get healthy? What's it take to stay healthy? What do we have to give our babies within moments of when they emerge from the womb, when they come into this world? We are conditioned to think that they have to have something outside of themselves in order to survive. All those battles are playing out, but I want to tell you, they're all static. They're noise, and they're covering what I believe is the deepest battle of our time. Danica, it's a battle for our very humanness. Our very humanness is on the line right now, because for the first time in recorded human history, we have the technology that can steal our humanness from us in ways that some people aren't even aware of, and other societies and cultures are adopting very, very quickly. And I'm talking about computer chips implanted into the human brain and chemicals injected into the body and wires under the skin. And the problem with this technology that's moving so fast is that when we give our natural humanness away, when we give away our biological potential to technology, our body begins to atrophy with respect to those potentials. So if we're implanting chips in our brain, our neurons, we've all heard this before, use it or lose it. Biology, you hear this all the time. Our neurons begin to think they're not needed anymore, and so they stop producing. In one generation, the next generation, they become an appendage of something that used to be, and we're not using them anymore. And for the first time in 5,000 years of recorded human history, the technology has the power to forever change our species. And the question, and this, I'm laying the foundation to answer the question that you asked. The question is, and I would never tell anyone or try to convince or persuade anyone to or not to use the technology, but here's the key. The key is, how much of ourselves do we want to give away to the technology and lose forever? We can't answer that until we know who we are. There was a very famous author and prophet in the 20th century. His name is Khalil Gibran. And I began reading Khalil Gibran when I was 8 years old. In Khalil Gibran, there is one sentence that has been my sole compass. It has been with me. I think of it every day. I apply it in every situation, every relationship, every job, every commitment. What he said is, work is love made visible. It takes a lot of work to know who we are in this world and to demonstrate for ourselves our potential. That is our love made visible. That is us loving ourselves in a way that empowers us to be in this world in a healthy way where we thrive in the presence of all of the changes.